right. Justina,
Yeah,
hola, ¿cómo estás?
muy bien. ¿Y tú cómo estás?
Bueno, en esta cuarentena, it's been, kind of tough. I'm sure it's tough for you out there too. Tough for all of us.
It is. It is. Absolutely.
This movie at this moment in your life, you're looking at this movie, and I know that you've said before many times, I look at the character when I do almost anything. What was it about Z in particular that you felt made sense to you?
I love the fact that she was a leader and she was adventurous and courageous and vulnerable and strong and in charge and in control. And, she did it all with warmth and humor and a lot of heart.
What is it about this franchise in particular that makes people go back again and again and again to watch this? What is it about the story? What is it about the characters? You know how difficult it is to get anything renewed or to
Yeah.
get a sequel on anything, yet this franchise just keeps on churning them out from popular demand. What is it?
Well, I think that the messages and the themes of the movie are just ageless, timeless, and universal. The theme of family, of chosen family, of respect, of finding your herd, community, justice, equality, courage. All of those themes are people. That's what resonates with us today, tomorrow, yesterday, and especially the part of like feeling like you might be the only one, and then you
Mm.
find somebody that is different like you but wants the same things that you do. The feeling of you don't need a superpower, you just
Mhm.
need courage and heart, and also they're very incredible, diverse, funny characters. All of the diversity that they had, the voices, the characters, it's just fun to listen to them. It's fun to hear Simon Pegg. He's hilarious. It's fun to hear Crash and Eddie. It's very funny.
So take me through the preparation of voice acting. You talk to a lot of, I mean, I remember one day I asked Javier about them. It's like, you're this probably one of the best actors of our generation. I've never seen you do theater. When are you doing theater? He's like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm afraid of the theater. I'm afraid of the theater. Those are real
Okay.
actors, he said, right?
Uh-huh.
Voice acting seems easy from afar. From I think anybody's like, oh, that seems easy. It's better than, putting on the costumes. But from everybody that I've heard, voice acting is, to some, it's even much harder.
I have done it before, and I'm actually doing a lot more nowadays, which is really great. I don't think it's harder, but I don't. But it's not easy. It's like you don't just get into a booth and just start talking. Because you have to like sometimes like over exaggerate. Like I remember I was doing a
Ah.
show once. Where you just have to put more into it. When you would be doing live action, they might be like, okay, dial it back. That's a little bit too much. But since you're only using your voice, you have to portray all of that through your voice. Now, I'm not, I know some incredibly talented voice actors that can do so many different voices. This is the only voice you're going to get from me. So I don't feel pressure because I'm like, if you like this voice, that's what's going to happen. Nothing else. So
So take me through
all the
your
pressure's off.
preparation. So
There was
take me,
really no preparation.
no
I was
preparation.
no, but I mean, I had been familiar with the movies,
Okay.
so that. And like I said, because I understand that when they come to me and they ask me, it's because they hear something in my voice that they want to bring to their project.
Mm-hmm.
I was familiar with Simon Pegg's interpretation of Buck, and I thought that was really fun and great. And so when I went into the booth to do this with the producers and the director, with John and Laurie and all the wonderful all the other people, they just guided me. They've been a part of this franchise for years and years. So really, it was them knowing what would work, what didn't work, and it was pretty effortless because it was a well-oiled machine. So
Mm-hmm.
they had all the preparation, they had the history. I just came in.
What is it about the animated genre along with the superhero genre that just seems like all of these movies make money? And the indie films that are suffered and crafted through pain and struggle just to get it through, they don't really add to the revenue, to the pockets of these creators the way these animated movies is. So you've been in this business. What is it about animation that just seems like it's always going to work? Like people are always going to look at animated films versus the live action ones.
Well, I mean, it's fantasy, it's like anything can happen in an animated film. I'm a zorilla, with like shapely thighs, and I'm like, I'm saving the world, and with a possum, with two possums and a weasel. So it's all of this, all of this fantasy, all of this magic surrealism. And also, animation has a lot more money behind it too. Those indie films sometimes, it's hard when you don't have a studio attached to the film. It's hard when you don't have that machine behind you putting you out there. Sundance used to be that. I don't know what Sundance is now. Sundance used to actually do those kind of things, and now it's kind of like not as indie as it used to be.
Right.
So I think that and the business side of it, that's the reason why. But in general, I think animation just appeals to so many people. I still love animation. I get on a plane and I will watch an animated movie over and over again, and I'll look over my shoulder and I'll be embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, is somebody looking at me? I mean, I will watch the hell out of Shrek.
Right. I think most people would too.
I will watch Shrek 1,000,000 times. You know what I mean? So, and the Little Mermaid and Cinderella, it's just this beautiful fantasy. They're fairy tales. And at the end of the day, the good people always win.
Now that we're in the conversation about animation and you representing, along with John Leguizamo, the Hispanic community in these movies, then you have what just came out in the news in the New York Times that Encanto just hit #1 on the Billboard. Wow. And you have your friend Stephanie Beatriz just nominated for an Annie Award. And everybody's getting credit for the fantastic work they did. And this is voice acting. And we only wish, and I know this has been a lot of heavy conversations with Gloria, you, and anybody that represents and champions the Hispanic community. It just seems like it works well in animated, but then you have West Side Story and The Heights that just don't reach the pinnacle of what Encantos did. And it's just interesting to me that Hispanics work here, like with Coco as well.
Oh, I love Coco. I love Coco. Oh
my
God.
So everybody will see Hispanic stories if it's animated.
Yeah.
But they're a bit hesitant with the juxtaposition of real life.
Well, I mean, I don't know why that is. I have no idea why maybe it's because they don't have to deal with actors or like, or the specificity of an actor or the authenticity of something. I don't know. I mean, I love Coco, and I don't know why it didn't resonate with In the Heights or with West Side Story. Maybe it's because, the movie that West Side Story and In the Heights are made for, people aren't going to see. They're not going to see movies. Whereas Encanto and Coco, you're taking your kids, you know what I mean? It's a family affair. It's all of that stuff. I don't know, but I think it can't hurt us. I definitely think that if it's happening there, then it's gonna, come on this side too. We're gonna feel a little bit of it here. But I never even thought about that. This is the first time I've ever thought that Encanto and Coco did so well, and it doesn't translate. And I think I can go back to, maybe it's because it's magic realism. There's just a lot of magic, and it's like, it's not so real, and maybe they don't want to see real right now. Right now I hear from so many people, I don't want to see that. That's too depressing. I don't want to, because of what's going on in the world. They want happy stories, so maybe that's the reason. I absolutely loved West Side Story. I saw it twice. And I think the authenticity was incredible. I'm Puerto Rican, so I was like, every part of that was exactly right. I never felt like, oh, they're not representing us at all. This is a stereotype. I thought that it was flawless. And so I don't know, maybe that's a story too, because it's what do you call that? When it's a timepiece, you know what I mean? So maybe, people, they rather go see Narcos, which is so crazy. But am I right?
You are so
They're
right.
Like, yeah, Narcos. But then it's like West Side Story, like, damn, that's old time. What the hell is that? So I don't know.
It is so really odd.
because
Well,
I think that, yeah, I think that, and In the Heights, you know, I did In the Heights on Broadway. And I
mhm.
actually think that In the Heights was our generation's West Side Story. People also want to escape a little bit right now.
Mm.
And maybe, you know, gentrification and all of that stuff that is very important. And, you know, all of these things that they talk about, wars. I don't know if people, you know, necessarily want to see that, and they'd rather, and it'll change, you know, because
Mhm.
I'll see everything. You know, I like art. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but maybe that's the reason why. And also, like you said, people just love animation.
Yeah.
They just
And before I let you go, Justina, I just wanted to ask you, you know,
correct.
everyone seems to be talking about, like, the main topic of conversation with Hispanics right now is the label of Latinx versus Latino. Joe Biden just recently said Latinos as opposed to Latinx, and it looks like he got the memo on it. But, you know, I'm of the point of view that Latinx, if it's supposed to mean inclusiveness and Latino doesn't, then I'm all for Latinx.
Yeah.
What is your perspective? When someone asks you that question, how do you answer that?
You know, I grew up saying Latino for a long time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Latino, Latina. But I don't have a problem, like you said, saying anything that is all inclusive. But I also don't think it's something for us to get all up in arms about either. You know, it's like, you know, giving him a hard time because he said he didn't say Latinx. There's a lot of Latinos who don't like to say that, you know?
Right, right.
But for me, I look at the show I did One Day at a Time. I mean, it was
Mhm.
all about representation. It was all about, you know, being yourself and respecting that and respecting pronouns and all of that. So yes, I have no problem saying Latinx. I just have to remind myself to say it because, you know,
Right, right,
I
right.
spent over 40 years, you know, saying I mean, I went from Hispanic, which I stopped saying a long time ago, to
Yeah.
Latino, and now it's like, okay, there's, you know, another word to say, Latinx or Latine. I don't have a problem with any of them. It's, you know, I I have no opinion on it. I just feel if it makes you feel better and it's all inclusive, then I have no problem saying it. But I don't have a stake in any of them. You know what I
Right,
mean? Not
right, right.
Latino, not Latina, not Latinx, and Latinx. The only
Just
one I don't
me.
like saying is Hispanic. I don't like
I
the
know.
Hispanic.
And I
That's the
always used to
only one.
think, I always used to think that was like the most generic one. And then I understood the history behind it. And I was like, oh man, even that.
That's it. That's the only one I don't. I mean, I was at the doctor the other day and they were like Hispanic, and I was like Latina, and they're like, well, that's not on here, and I'm like, well, it should be.
Well, I'll leave it there. Justina, thank you so much. The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild premieres on Disney Plus on January 28th. Justina, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hang on, Crash and Eddie!
If we don't find them, I'm gonna kill them.
Yeah!